Hello, footies, and welcome back to another episode of FUT in Review Shorts. Today's episode is made possible by our Skybox holder, Daniel R. So a special shout out to him. Today is Monday, November 18th. My name is John, and today I'll be discussing the content that released over the weekend. And we are introducing a new recurring topic, FUT 101. Let's talk about content first. I think there's a lot of content released over the weekend, but are they all that good? I want to focus mainly on the SBCs, but before I start talking about the new SBCs, I want to quickly discuss the fact that I want to rate the SBCs a little bit different. And of course, if you are listening or watching the YouTube video or the Spotify version of this podcast, you can also watch all the content on the screen as well. Content though, I have been it's been brought to my attention, let's put it like this, that I have been rating SBCs on these daily shows as if content is like, I should say, as if the fodder for these SBCs is wildly obtainable or actually highly obtainable. And well, I have to be honest, of course, that's not the case anymore in this game. So when I start looking at the SBCs from now on, I will not only rate the price, but I will also check out the actual SBC challenge itself. And if the SBC has high rated fodder needed for it, I think I'm gonna take that into account from now on. It's gonna be hard. I'm still gonna say is this a must do or could do or avoid, but I'm gonna take that into account looking at it. First things first. We got a content released today on this Monday, November 18th, and that is Pierre Aubameyang, 87 rated striker. Comes in at, 168,000 and 175,000 coins, all for the SBC. When we look at it, you need a 182 rated squad. You need two 82 rated squads. You need an 83 rated squad, an 84 rated squad, and two 85 rated squads. I do think that's not high rated fodder, but generally speaking, you should be able to do this. 160,000 in this case, I think, isn't worth taking down the SBC for. If it would require 187 rated SBC, for example, then I would rate this way off. I think the 170,000 for this SBC is sort of decent. Of course, it's a four-star skill move, 4-star weak foot, 187 centimeter or 6'2" SBC. He plays for Al Nassr, which does make him quite hard to link. He is a poacher plus, a false 9 plus, and a false forward plus, and he can also play right midfielder on white midfielder plus. His playstyles, he's got the finesse shot plus the chip shot, the power shot, flare, rapid, and the trivela. So first look on this SBC tells me that he's got the right playstyles and pretty nice roles, pretty flexible striker to play with. He's got 90 acceleration, 96 sprint speed. He's got 89 finishing with 92 attacking positioning. He's got 86 composure, so that's pretty decent. 81 dribbling with 88 reactions with 87 ball control. Actually pretty decent. 86 jumping. Well, that looks pretty cool. And if we look at the stats of like the playstyles, I think what I just said is that it's pretty decent. The only disadvantage of this SBC would be, of course, the linkability. He's from Gabon, which is really hard to link. He's from he plays Al Nassr on the Saudi League, which is also hard to link. He doesn't actually. He's from I should say Al Qasidai, and next match they play against Al Nassr. So I should have corrected that. But basically, the problem with this card is that he's hard to link. However, if we look at the main stats, remember when you are on 0 chemistry or 1 chemistry, you don't get any negative stats on players anymore since last year. That means if you look at this card on, for example, Footpin, you don't apply any chemistry cards on him. These are the stats you get. So the stats I just mentioned, and he's pretty fast player with good shooting, good finishing, and actually decent composure, is the unboosted card. I think for 170,000, a card that is this flexible and has finesse shot plus and the regular power shot and the regular chip shot, I think it's really good value. It is an SBC that's doable. It's a card that's very flexible, even if you would sub them in. But on if you sub a card in or you play him on zero chemistry, there is no difference on. So I see people saying this could be a great super sub. This is definitely still a great card to start. It's exactly the same for this card. Of course, it will influence the other players' chemistry, but one player on zero chem really is not a problem. I think many people will skip this SPC because of the fact he's hard to link. My general consensus so far is, and I know I'm a little bit rusty so far on this episode, but I think this is actually a should do SPC. You won't find a striker with these good playstyles, 4-star, 4-star, with the roles he has on it as well. Poacher plus, he's so flexible. I think you should just do this. SPC. If you have the option, just do him. Play him as a main striker on zero cam. Really not an issue. If you play him as a super sub, he is one of those subs that makes it really hard to play against. I think this Aubameyang card is actually a must-do SPC. But don't tell everyone. Keep it our little secret, because I feel people will skip over him. But yeah, that's a great card to start off with. So Aubameyang, for me, is definitely a must-do SPC. So I'm just starting off with the controversial opinions today. Yeah, all right. The next card I want to discuss is Lena Oberdorf that got an SBC, I think, on this Sunday. Oberdorf is a center defensive midfielder and can also play as center midfielder. This SBC costs 150,000 coins or 145 on PC. It requires a team of the week. Of course, it does. It requires 186 rated or 185 rated and 183 rated. So in total, it needs two informed players and it needs 185 and 186 rated squad, which makes it a little bit harder to do. Although the price is somewhat similar or actually cheaper than Aubameyang, I do think that this is one of those cards because one higher rated SBC is a little bit harder to do. Then again, an 86 isn't that hard to complete in the end, I do think. Looking at the card itself, she's got 3-star skill moves and 4-star weak foot. The skill moves on a center defense midfielder, if you would play her there, isn't a big of an issue. And of course, these cards are either acrobatic or have some outstanding physical stats. And if you look at this card, she has 97 strength and 97 aggression with 91 standing tackle, 89 defensive awareness, and 87 interceptions. Combine that with 85 composure. I think this is a really strong center defensive midfielder. Even again, maybe even underrated. Roles she has as a CDM, she can play holding plus plus, which is usually what you want these days as a center defense midfielder. Deep lying playmaker plus, and as a center midfielder, she can play holding plus and deep lying playmaker plus as well. So pretty flexible. But if you play this card as a center defense midfielder, she's actually pretty awesome. Of course, she's got press proven, which is nice to have, but which is even nicer is that she's got bruiser, intercept, sliding tackle, and the regular anticipate. This card is actually a really good card with the only downside saying she is a pretty, maybe a little bit slow. But honestly, having 75, generally speaking, on her, if you give this card a chemistry card, I'd say give her a shadow. She pretty much maxes out her defending stats, and the sprint speed and the renal speed will go up tremendously as well. Let me see what happens when we give her a shadow, though, because I don't want to make things up. If you go on the shadows, you go to 83 and 83, 95 interceptions, 93 defensive awareness, 99 standing tackle, and 94 sliding tackle with those 97 strength and 97 aggression. She looks really, really powerful. She's not the tallest. She won't win any headers from you. But I do think that this is actually a pretty good card. And since she's German and she's from Bayern, pretty easy to link as well. You can get her on 2 chemistry. At least 3 should be able to do so. She's rated a 90 rated center defender midfielder with a shadow. And again, 150,000. If you do run a Bundesliga squad or you are able to link her in, that's actually pretty nice. I do think, especially compared to Aubameyang, that she does need to have chemistry on her to be, well, viable at this stage of the game currently. So she does need that speed boost a little bit. But if you do give her the speed boost, really, really good SBC, really good center defensive midfielder. Then is this a must do? No, it's not a must do. Because of the dependency on chemistry and the fact you do need 186 rated squad, I think this is a good do SBC. But generally speaking, good value, pretty easy to link, but you need those links to get her going. But I do think she might be very frustrating to play against as a center defensive midfielder. And then one of the SBCs we were waiting for, at least I was hoping for, if I'm quite honest, I was hoping for some Blotter, but we did get a Zanetti SBC. So this Zanetti is, of course, a little bit of a different version. He is 87 rated instead of his 89 rated card. Again, the card design just stunning. He's got 88 acceleration and 88 sprint speed compared to his other card, which is 82 and 83. So he is quite a bit faster. He's got quite a lot more shooting. His passing is better than the regular card. His dribbling is better than the regular card, but I think his defending is not necessarily better. And to show that, I will zoom out if you are watching the video version, of course. That might help a little bit. So the 87 rated is worse off in defending. But here comes the problem with this card. This card cost a whopping 388,000 coins. It also requires 187 rated squad. It requires 386 rated squads, 285 rated, 185 squared squad, 181. The other ones are just silver and bronze. But the fact he requires an 87 and 386 makes this a hard sell for me. But if the card's really, really, really good, could be something to consider. Again, his speed is pretty good. His roles, he's an attacking wingback plus, a fullback plus, and a wingback plus plus on the right back and on the left back. He's only a wingback plus. Definitely a card you do want to play as a right back, of course, in this situation. And if you look at his play styles, here comes the weird part for me. Power shot, great, I guess. Not that you will take much shots with him, but hey, okay. Press proven and rapid. Rapid's pretty cool on a fullback. If the fullback is attacking, he is probably not playing that attacking as a wingback, but just reasonable. Press proven, which is nice to have on any card, so I'm not going to complain about that. He's got intercepting and he's got jockey, which is also nice. But the regular card, the 89 rated card, if you look at those playstyles, he's got anticipate, he's got relentless plus, and actually can play as a center midfielder. Considering the 89 rated player is actually cheaper, I don't see many reasons to go for this 87 rated Zanetti card, except for the beautiful card design. I do think that if you're looking at this player, you see high dribbling, you see high pace, but he can't play forward. He's got 92 crossing and 92 short passing, but he doesn't have any of the play styles for passing. If you look at the play styles, he's got a lot of play styles on ball control, but he can't play center midfielder. He's got power shot, but his finishing is 63. I don't think the stats and play styles and even rules on Discord align at all. Considering also it is a 400,000 or 388,000 coin SBC, I think this card, and it pains me to say, but is actually an avoiding SBC. Avoid this card. It's not easy to generate fodder. It's there are far better fullbacks available. It's niche role to play him in, but I definitely think the playstyles and the actual stats do not align. So I applaud EA for giving us icon SBCs. It's way too expensive though, and I don't think this card on its own makes much sense. And again, it hurts me to say, but I do think that is the case. So that sums up Aubameyang, which I think, but don't tell everyone, is a must-do SBC. We have Oberdorf, which I think is a good-do SBC if you can apply chemistry on her. And I think Zanetti is an avoid SBC. And that's just what I would do. Just avoid it. And again, if you don't agree with me, just put it in the comments on Spotify or Apple Podcast. Also, thank you all for sending in those reviews. I adore them and I will soon read them all out. But yeah, so far, I will definitely avoid Zanetti. Then it brings me to something, which I wasn't always aware of. But again, this is your feedback providing this information. And I want to introduce a new topic. Like we've been doing literally hundreds of episodes of Footer Review so far, and I've been playing FIFA since like the first release of FIFA ever. And I know that although we never mean to, we take certain knowledge for granted. So therefore, we are introducing a new topic, FUT 101. So this is a topic where no question is silly, and we will answer all your questions about anything FUT or FC25 related. You can ask us questions through any of our socials and our Discord channel, of course, where there's a special 101 forum open to ask us anything. If you are unsure what chemistry is, if you are unsure what the passing button do, what a driven pass is, what partial team press is, player lock, D-pad tactics, if you are unsure about anything, just drop it there and I'll make sure as a part of these shorts and maybe even a Friday show to take those questions in, make it a separate topic and make sure that the new players get their answers answered as well. And if you're not a new player, but you're still afraid to ask something, feel free to drop me a comment. Say, I am unsure about this, but I will not have my name mentioned. Perfectly fine. We will help other players by answering those questions as well. Of course, we introduced this on our Discord, and of course, you can join that for free. And if you want to support the show, you can join that using the Patreon link, which is patreon.com/FUT-in-review. First questions we got. It is Big Jim Bean asking a question about matchmaking. He says, does quitting a match in Rivals and Weekend League affect matchmaking? I feel I've heard it does in one, but not the other, but I'm still a bit confused. Thank you for your questions. So, matchmaking guide in FC25. So in Rivals, let's start there. In Rivals, your location, your division, your platform, and apparently your current form to matter. I don't feel like the official answer says current form, but it is a hard one. Generally speaking, I should consider if you play Rivals, then the following things. The first thing is your location, right? So location plays a significant, there goes my English, role in the matchmaking process. So the game considers the geographical proximity of players when searching for opponents. So if you're from the UK, you're far more likely to play someone from the UK. But it does this comparing IP addresses and account regions. So the fact that you're playing from UK, you could mean you're still playing someone from Amsterdam if you're connected to the Amsterdam server, for example. This is to minimize lag to make sure you get as a good experience as possible. Okay, so location, extremely important. If you want to disable this, you can go to the setting. You can disable approximate location matchmaking from the main FC25 screen. Just go to settings, go to online settings, select matchmaking options, and you can disable it. Why would you do this? Well, you could have be really unlucky and that you're just located with a lot of pro players, for example. I would generally advise you not to do this because even playing against a better player for a couple of matches in a row is better experiences than having delayed gameplay. Of course, what does matter is platform. If you're on PC and you got crossplay off, of course, you'll find lesser players in your location. So that doesn't matter. If it's Weekend League or Rivals, it doesn't matter. It always considers platform and location for both of them. Then there is, of course, your division. If you're on a rival, it will match you to a player which has is based around your same level of play. That's you consider your current form. In Weekend League, however, the current form, I should actually say current form, takes account the recent performances when searching for opponent. This goes especially in Cups and Weekend League. So that means if you are performing well and achieve positive results in your previous matches, the system will probably pair you against opponents who have similar current form. But this is this is of course to help you play against your own level, basically. But it's important to note, right, that this does not carry over between different competitions. So when you start a playoffs or a final, you will always start with form set to 0. All right. So it doesn't matter what you did before. If you start a new playoff, if you start a new Weekend League run, it is always starts on 0. This also means that if you win 3 matches in a row, you're at 3 plus, which will mean you will play players that are around 3 plus. But again, these players will have to be in your area first. Then it looks at form. And of course, it looks at the platform. Because if you have crossplay on, the chances are higher you play against someone with the same form in your same region. But if you have crossplay off, the chances are you will go without those first boundaries for that. Summarize it. Matchmaking. If you quit, it will count as a loss. That was the original question. So if you quit, it counts as a loss. Current form matters for all systems, but it will matter way more for Weekend League than it will do for Rivals. So basically, you lose, you quit, you quit, you lose. Your current form goes down. In Weekend League, you will definitely notice that more. Ingvi says, what is the best way to stop abusers of power shots? I'm not necessarily certain I want to say abusers of power shots are a thing, but let's say we want to stop power shots. Okay. So a power shot, I've said it since episode 1 this year, is actually pretty strong in FC25, of course. And power shots, what I think is important is what player you select to defend. There's a lot of players that say you should never touch your center defense midfielders, for example. You should always defend with your center defenders or with your center defense midfielders. The problem is there is no auto block in this game. You will only block if they shoot full against you or when you select the player in front of the ball and it's able to intercept the ball or direct shot at the target. How do you stop power shots? The best, that is to select the player in front of the shot, and that includes the center defenders. Hold the jockey button to shield yourself, hold L2. That is the best way to stop a power shot, right? You don't necessarily even have to step in, but you have to select the right player. And sure, if you do tackle, or you select the tackle button, not the sliding tackle, but the regular tackle button, you can then block the shot as well with the power. But the most important thing about power shots, and they are still strong, they're not unstoppable, but the most important thing about power shot is select the player in front of the player that's going to take the shot. If you are selecting the player that's behind them, that shot will not get blocked. The power shot will be even more efficient than it was before. Infi asks also, how much will a plus rule affect the player compared to a plus rule in the same position? Here's the issue. We can't measure that and we don't have the exact numbers for this. And that's also hard because the role affects the player runs, right? I definitely see a difference between having a cam on Shadow Striker plus, for example, and a cam on Shadow Striker plus and a cam on Shadow Striker but no rules. I do see difference in involvement of these three players. But how do I measure, or how do I say that is actually the difference? It's hard, but what I would say is don't look at the stats, look at the runs or the involvement of the player. So if you have two cams at the same position, one has plus on the roll, the other has plus on the rolls, of course, the stats are important, but the stats is not what makes or breaks these cards. It is the positioning of the cards itself. The players will get more or less involved in the position you want them in. So if you have a player that is similar in stats or even a little bit down on stats compared to your best player, but has the plus plus in the role you want him to be, I think that's the most important thing. You don't have to play a player on plus plus if that's not the role you want the player to fulfill. But if the player has a role you want them to fulfill, always choose for the plus plus because the player will fulfill that role better. But it's hard to measure how much better that actually is. I think that's sort of the fun part about this game this year. Although I know many people don't agree looking at my DMs usually, but I think it's sort of fun. You have two camps. Is the one cam better in that position? Although the stats are maybe a little bit less because it gets more involved once they or he or she has the plus plus in the role. So it's hard to measure. But I would say, first of all, play the system or play the way you want to play. Find the right players to that system. Preferably good stats, but even better if the rules are in the way you think. Like you can't, if you have a 4-for-2 and you want the wingers to cut inside and be able to take a finesse shot on target, a Salah, for example, right? You want a player that has inside forward plus plus to be able to come in those roles. If you have a player that is less on stats but does have plus plus, that player will still get involved more in front of the goal, more involved in the role you want he or she to play in than the player that has only one plus or no pluses on them, even though the stats on that other player might be higher. I hope I explained that well for you. Basically, can't put it in stats. I do notice a difference in roles. My preference is to put the players on the roles they are better at. So I prefer a plus plus on the role, even though the stats on the player are maybe even a little bit less. That's why in my setups, you usually see players you don't expect there to be, but I don't only look at stats. I want them to be in the right spot at the right time, and that is exactly what roles do. Wimby Daniel has a excellent question, but I'm not going to answer this list. I'm going to tease that for the next one. He says, can you break down what the different D-pad tactics do and the right positions to use them in? I will 100% do that, and I am very keen of doing that as well. But these shows are called Food and Review shorts, and I can't do that in like 10 minutes, and even not when this show is almost 30 minutes long. So I will do that in one of the next shorts, or maybe even a Friday show, in way more details. I will talk about how smart tactics work. I will talk about tactical suggestions. I will talk about tactical focus with D-pads, and of course, I will talk about quick tactics. That's coming soon, so keep an eye out for that. I hope you liked the first thing we introduced for FUT 101. And again, questions, send it. Any remarks on anything I say, anything I got wrong, just let me know. I'll be happy to fix that as well. But I hope I can get some players more involved in the in-depths of FUT, even if you're not a veteran player, or even if you are a veteran player, maybe you didn't know this, and this might help you in your FUT journey. Talk about helping, I said reviews help us a lot. If you go to your podcast provider, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you can leave us a 5-star review. And why am I asking for 5-star reviews? Because the more 5-star reviews we have, the easier we get found. Even if you 4-star review us, it does help, but the 5-star helps tremendously. So even if you have feedback, you can still give us a 5-star review, and it helps. I'm going to read out a couple. Big Jim Bean says, this podcast has been a godsend for my FUT. I'm a very casual player, so maybe the one-on-one helps for you. But the pod alongside the Discord has really brought my game along, from helpful gameplay tips to what looks for when completing SBCs. Also, Lego is the biggest tire manufacturer in the world. You are correct, but you didn't win the actual prize. H2O 9000 says, really enjoyed hearing from Art. Of course, we are also recording the new Art of FUT this week. Keep an eye out. It's a Patreon-only show. And Mix Mustaji says, Food and Review takes a considered view of FC Ultimate, where on other outlets views can be particularly negative. FIR tries to view things from more angles to give a more mature, well-rounded opinion on the game. A great resource for updates and the game's play reviews, gameplay tips, and more. Also, John, Lego is the largest manufacturer of tires in the world. And, well, thank you so much. There's many more. I won't read them all. I can't read them all. But thank you so much for all the feedback. It is truly appreciated. Again, check out patreon.com/FUTreview if you want to support us with $1 a week or even more. And of course, get the awesome exclusive shows. My name is Jon. You can find us at Foot in Review, I should say. Of course, Foot Coaching as well, but you can find us at Foot in Review on all socials. And of course, if you want to get better at the game, you can also go at footcoaching.com and ask the team for some suggestions or analyze your gameplay. That's all for me for today. Tomorrow, Daniel will be back with the infamous Tuesday Club. I will be back on this Wednesday with a shorts, and of course, this Friday with a big show in episode 641. Thank you so much. Leaves me with one thing left to do, and that is to drop it.
You. 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 T. T.